I don't think there are any. At one time, I thought that there were, simply based upon documents that I'd seen while I was attached to the intelligence briefing team of Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet. At that time, and even for many years afterwards, I did not believe that the government would use me in that way. I had devoted my whole life to government service. I had been in the Air Force, I was in the Navy, I was a river patrol boat captain in Vietnam. I had proved myself. I had combat ribbons with the V for Valor. There was no doubt of my loyalty to my country. And maybe that's why it was so easy to use me, because I wouldn't doubt that what I saw was real. But over the years, I've done a lot of research. What I've discovered is there's no proof existing anywhere that extraterrestrials are real, or that have ever visited this planet, or that they exist anywhere in the universe. There is not one shred of evidence anywhere. There is lots of evidence, tons of it in fact, that there are a group of people collectively known as the Illuminati who want us to believe in some extraterrestrial threat from space so that they can cause a world government, bringing together of all the people to resist that external threat. And the first time that I saw any reference to that, I was reading some papers from the Carnegie Endowment Fund, and there was a record of a speech. It was a dinner for Viscount Ishii of the Japanese delegation, the Japanese imperial delegation, in 1917. And John Dewey was one of the speakers. And the first sentence out of his mouth as I was reading this almost fell out of my chair, because this was in 1917. And he said the best way to cause all people of the world to come together in one world government and end war forever would be if we were attacked by some other species from some other planet. And boy, that just clicked with me, and I knew that this is just another scam. This is the age of deception. There's no doubt about it. And then 8 times during Reagan's administration, he inserted almost the exact same phrase into 8 of his speeches. And it's a scam. That's what I can tell you. It's just an incredible deception. And I'm just amazed that people have fallen for it in the manner that they have, in the absence of any proof whatsoever. I don't think so. It's all bullshit. It's a lie. Good evening. You're listening to the Hour of the Time. I'm still William Cooper.
Milton William Bill Cooper's story didn't just start with his groundbreaking book, Behold a Pale Horse. Long before he became a widely known radio host and conspiracy researcher, he lived a full life of adventure, service, and controversy. Bill Cooper was raised in an Air Force family, which meant he spent much of his childhood moving around the world. He graduated from Yamato High School in Japan, giving him a broader perspective on life than most Americans. His early exposure to different cultures likely played a role in shaping the way he viewed government, authority, and global affairs. Eager to serve, Cooper first joined the United States Air Force, where he worked on B-52 bombers, KC-135 refueling aircraft, and Minuteman missiles. Holding a secret clearance, he gained first-hand experience with military operations. After receiving an honorable discharge in 1965, he didn't stop there. He went on to fulfill a lifelong dream of joining the U.S. Navy, despite struggling with chronic motion sickness. During his time in the Navy, Cooper served in Vietnam, working in naval security and intelligence. He became a harbor and river patrol boat captain in some of the most dangerous areas of the Vietnam conflict. His leadership and bravery in combat earned him several medals, including 2 with the V for valor. By the time he left the Navy in 1975, he had worked his way up to first-class petty officer, an impressive achievement in just 8 years. After his military service, Cooper pursued a different path, earning a degree in photography and starting a successful fine art studio. But his interest in government secrecy and hidden truths never faded. His research into classified projects, the Kennedy assassination, and UFOs led him down a rabbit hole that would define the rest of his life. As a lecturer, Cooper traveled across the United States, drawing massive crowds eager to hear his insights on government cover-ups, secret societies, and deep state agendas. His book, Behold a Pale Horse, became a cult classic, an underground bestseller that spread through word of mouth across all walks of life. Cooper's influence only grew with his worldwide shortwave radio show, The Hour of the Time. He used this platform to warn people about what he believed were secretive plans to manipulate and control society. His deep, authoritative voice and unapologetic style made him a force to be reckoned with, earning both dedicated followers and powerful enemies. His willingness to challenge authority even led to then-President Bill Clinton labeling him, quote, the most dangerous radio host in America, unquote. To Cooper, that was the greatest compliment he had ever received. But his outspoken nature also made him a target. He fought legal battles with the IRS, filed Freedom of Information Act requests, and took on powerful institutions that he believed were keeping the truth from the public. By the late 1990s, Cooper was living in Arizona, where he continued broadcasting, writing, and advocating for individual freedoms. But his battles with the government intensified.
I was in the next town over running some business errands and came back, and he came rushing out to meet me, and he said the federal marshals were just here. I said, what? He says, yeah, they came up and they said they were going to serve me with charges. Towards maybe the last 8 months or so of his life, because of events happening around the world and then culminating in 9/11, as far as world type events, Bill really turned the heat up on the people that would see this country's demise on his broadcast and on his website. And at that point, a person could tell if they had watched the happenings and knew the facts, not just the crap that was put in a paper here and there about Bill or the situation here, and had done their research, that now it wasn't a matter of if but when for Bill's demise.
In 2001, a confrontation with Apache County Sheriff's deputies outside his home turned deadly.
The truck was parked. It was unmarked. No one was in uniforms. They did not identify themselves. That was it. They said that in their briefings the very next day. I was told by the law enforcement officials that were on site and ones that had to come up afterwards and get a briefing so they knew what went on roughly, because public was obviously going to be coming to try to come up here, and news crews and all whatnot. They had put out that Bill is not to be let back in that house alive. It was premeditated. It was put out, Bill will not be allowed back in alive.
Cooper was shot and killed during a raid.
Right here at Bill's home is where he pulled up. His front of this vehicle would be towards me. The other vehicle was parked with the front towards the other end of the street. Bill ran around the back of his vehicle, which would be towards the driveway. He then proceeded across his yard. This is when the shooting began, according to their reports. The vehicle that was parked here, besides his truck, which was pointed that way, he had bought for Jessica, his daughter, and then she didn't want it, so it was just sitting here. Sheriff Goldsmith ran around the back of it, which would be towards me, and got on this street side to use the vehicle as protection. At that point, Bill is approximately halfway in the yard and still running with his back towards him. They claim at that point he began shooting, which was with his right arm just thrown backward, haphazardly pulling the trigger of a .38 snub-nose Smith & Wesson. At that point, Goldsmith opened fire, hitting Bill several times. Bill fell down right where the porch would start, and the dirt would meet the concrete sidewalk. Next to the planter, you can just slightly see raised on this side, favoring me from the front door. That's where he fell. And according to them, they quit shooting, and he was dead.
Leaving behind a complicated legacy. To this day, Cooper remains a polarizing figure. To some, he was a fearless truth seeker who paid the ultimate price for exposing corruption. To others, he was a conspiracy theorist who took things too far. No matter which side people fall on, one thing is undeniable. Milton William Bill Cooper made an impact that is still felt today. His book, his broadcast, and his ideals continue to circulate, even here on YouTube, inspiring new generations to question what they're told and seek out the truth for themselves. Whether you agree with him or not, his story is one of conviction, courage, and a relentless pursuit of truth. Thank you for joining me here today as we dive into the life and legacy of Milton William Bill Cooper. There'll be links down below this video where you can find out more about Bill Cooper and his works. And I encourage each of you to do so. Until next time, shalom, shalom.
Bill was left to lie there in the front yard. Bill received no medical treatment. The sheriff's deputies took it in their own hands, and the paramedics, that he did not need to be treated. That he was just gone for good, and that's all there was to it. DPS is wrapping up their all-day long site investigation. Bill's body has been out there all day, so who knows how it was tampered with. Cameras, nobody was allowed up there. You couldn't get within it to get camera views. Even the helicopters were shunned off, so they couldn't get views of the body. So there's no way to ever tell if it was moved 100 times maybe before the ambulance picked it up. It was then taken to Tucson Forensics Lab for an autopsy.